I've been making videos on other people's submitted Mythic Plus runs for about a year and a half now, since the beginning of Dragonflight. The idea was actually my good friend Siler, so huge shout out to him for that. If it wasn't for how the community responded to it, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now. This is an important video because this is the first time in that year and a half that this situation has ever occurred. This is a situation where this person who recorded this did not submit this to me. They did not know about the channel. They did not tell me about this so I could make a video. Instead, multiple people who watch his content as well as mine have messaged me saying, I need to see this footage and I need to make a video on it and potentially raise awareness on this. Because what you are going to see in here is honestly maybe the most despicable thing I have ever seen in any type of Keystone setting. We've seen it all, guys. Like, you've seen this channel before, you know that there is some absurd behavior just in this expansion alone, but all the way back through Legion. And I am not sure I have seen anything similar. The reason I wanted to make this video though, especially, was because we had a just barely scratches the surface type similar in season 2 in the same dungeon, where the tank in that key was basically just killing people over and over again, then like yelling at them for dying. I think at that point he was like genuinely clueless, like just utterly confused on what was actually killing people, even though it was him that was getting them killed over and over again. This is not that. So we have a Brackenhide. This is going to be a 9, and this is from the content creator Dillasan. I think that's how you say it. Is that like a monk thing? I don't know, you tell me. But yes, he is in the middle of doing a like 0 to hero type thing on an enhancement shaman. So he joins this 9 Brackenhide on a tyrannical week. The group leader is the Shadow Priest. There's 2 priests in the group. This is an important distinction here. We have one guy named like Lilith or Illith or something like that. That's the Shadow Priest. That's the guy who invited everybody to the group. Please pay attention and remember that as we progress and differentiate the 2 priests. This is going to be very important. Normally what I do is I just like look through the footage really quick, see how many deaths there are, see what the chat looks like as I'm leafing through it, and then like I'll plant my flag and decide like where we're going to start the footage, where we're going to start the commentary, and what we're going to commentate on. This dungeon, it can't really do that because the stuff that goes on in here is very easy to miss. We do a really big pull here. This is a typical lust spot, although honestly in this key especially I would not recommend it. This trash is too easy on a 9 non-fortified to be lusting, but I think a lot of people might want to see it anyway. We have some basic mistakes unfolding, so I do want to touch on those. We see the War Scourge casting Hideous Cackle. Now look over at the interrupt chart. We have both the Death Knight tank and the Shadow Priest who had their interrupt up at that point. That fears multiple people, and we aggro trash that almost gets somebody killed, but since this is a 9, it just doesn't matter. And I think if you sifted through this footage from start to the actual end, you would not really see any high stakes errors where it shouldn't really bother anybody. Like, nobody should really be upset about that, right? But anyway, we do not lust on that pack, and now he says, I need a second, my mouse isn't working XD. So you can see the DPS chart. Like, you know, I don't know how much of this is in play, but I want to give you guys the full context on this because this is that crazy that I feel like you don't want to miss any part of it. So up until this point, the casters are kind of running wild, and the Hideous Cackle is going to go off with the only actual kick being the priest. The priest, Shadow Priest, by the way, the DPS priest. So the Death Knight spells priest wrong, by the way. It's a tough one to spell right. He says priest kick after that, right? And then this is what happened. Pay attention. I'm just going to let this play and see if you pick up on it on your own. Did you see what just happened there? If not, I'm going to slow it down for you and we're going to look at it. We'll just start from the beginning again because Hideous Cackle going out. Only one who could interrupt is the Shadow Priest. It doesn't happen. Again, somebody gets feared into trash. The guy types out priest kick. Look at the interrupt. He literally, as soon as he reads that, he just randomly kicks something. So whatever. All right, that's fine. We aggro like basically like 2 small patrols come into this pull, and then this happens. Okay, so pay attention to Bazasp. All right, that is the other priest. You see his character move around that trap, and then he is going to life grip the Shadow Priest into the trap. Takes him far longer than it should, by the way. High processing power from this dwarf in a Murloc suit. He has to really line it up. Gives himself like a good 5 seconds. I gotta make sure I fuck this guy as hard as possible. Here we go. We're kind of lining it up. Boom, hit my T shot. Oh, I sliced it into the woods. That guy's now dead because somebody gripped him into a mechanic. But look at what's happening in the key. Nobody even notices it. Nobody even comments. In fact, the guy who recorded this just continues doing his mechanic that he thinks he needs to do, opens that pot, and everybody just continues on. The Shadow Priest doesn't say a word. I'm shocked by that, frankly. He's here back DPSing like nothing happened. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't even maybe notice it. So now we go backwards in the footage a little bit to give you guys a little context here. He shows him getting invited to the group and being the only 2 people in in the group, and then you see the group fills with those 2 people automatically. Now we could tell that they are together regardless of the actual footage. All right, this is the guy who's playing the tank in the run. He has an alt. It's this guy in a guild that is, appropriately named. And then this is the priest in the same guild. So these guys are obviously together regardless, but I love that he showed that. So again, that's all just context that you need as we move on here. Because again, at this point, you may like, okay, there's 1 death. Actually, like a very clean run up at this point. It's a 9, you know what I mean? There's really nothing going wrong here. We're doing weird shit like this where the guy like runs over and aggro's trash on the boss. I don't know like what this is. Again, I'm just trying to give all the context here. Does the guy think we need count? I don't really know. You know, we just did a review on this key a couple weeks ago where we looked at this trash as being like totally unpullable, but it's a 9 tyrannical. So like, I don't know if this is an intentional decision or what. Jumping forward again here, 1 death, no real issues on one of the bosses that I would consider probably like easiest in the season. But keep an eye on Bazasp again, the priest here in this key. Gonna run that direction that way over there to the left. I did not actually know you could do this, by the way. He's gonna go ahead and pull the trash mob that I think a lot of people do skip, but yeah, I think this is actually like fine to pull. It's a little slow, so if you're gonna do it, you should probably do it now. This is actually a very interesting time to do this. What do you guys think about this for like a higher key, by the way? You think this is worth it? Now, the Death Knight is during the fight telling people not to soak, and that's because as a Blood Death Knight, you can AMS every single one of these, so you never actually get the debuff that makes it do more damage each time. For some reason, though, on this one, he just sprints away from it. I don't know why the tank runs away from it. Did he mess up his AMS or something like that? Like, I'm pretty sure even on a 9, you wouldn't die to this. So he gets the priest eaten here, and to me, what this looks like is he's actually trying to get Dilson eaten here. Like, he's still in it. He knows these melee. These 2 guys are trying to run away after telling them not to soak. So, like, a funny bit of serendipity here. You see an angel on the screen, welcome to Mythic plus pugging. Even the guy trying to troll other people in the key is dying. That's welcome to Holy Priest. So that trash mob is now dead, and they're gonna do the skip as normal, right? We're gonna run up to the right side here, or are we? Again, watch Bazasp twisting nether, just jumps down there. Is that an error? I don't know. Maybe I'm overreading some of these things, but to me, that doesn't look like an error. So randomly aggro shit. The tank is all the way on the other side at this point. So this is a really, really bad mistake. This can happen a lot with pets, like warlock pets or hunter pets, but the way everybody kind of postures there and standing there makes me think maybe it was an error. And like, you can see based on how people are communicating, like the tank says die, mass res. You're not going to die to this. Like, how would you die to this? You'd have to just go pull more stuff to die to this. They're just going to finish the trash. And again, the only death was the actual Holy Priest. See him again, a toxic angel. You see that fucking green angel on the screen? That's Holy Priest in a nutshell. All of that's like prelim. This is actually where the video starts from now on. This is what he commented on the most leading up to the end of the key. This is obviously what is the most noticeable and the most toxic, so strap in. They are going to skip this pack, obviously, and they are going to get up here and pull this trash into the boss. Now, we do make one major mistake. Like, I don't know, can you call it a major mistake on a 9? Not bloodlisting here is definitely a bad choice. This is a bad choice. We talked about this a lot, actually, in the recent months, but if you're going to pull all this stuff, you definitely want to bloodlust. This is a really good opportunity, and especially since we have so much time left, we guarantee ourselves another use anyway. But then, you know, maybe as retaliation, this guy is going to out himself yet again. He's going to grip him into the root. Also, pay attention to the Death Knight here. This is kind of funny to me. First knockback. We don't need Death's Advance. We'll just stand right next to the ledge here. I actually am not sure how he doesn't fall off. Look at how close to the edge he is here and watch him. Oh man, like you can't see it because he gets gripped away from it. That may be like tactical strategy making there from the priest. He grips this guy. He knows he's recording so far away, so we can't blast this Death Knight for nearly getting knocked off. Like he had to be right on the edge there. But yeah, totally non-consequential no matter what. But and then, you know, like Dilly said in his video, he is now aware that this guy is doing it. So that tells me, like, I guess he wasn't aware that he had been doing it and messing around in this key from the beginning. They're gonna pull like a bunch of stuff down here. They actually end up pulling like even more stuff. I don't know if that's by accident. Like you see, he grabs one of those extra rot hexers there. Again, have a look at the Shadow Priest. He is gonna get this circle mechanic. This is gonna become a common topic because this priest, the other priest, is going to really start to cause some havoc with it. It spreads to the tank too, but yeah, it spreads to obviously the enhancement shaman and the tank. So now 3 people have it, and that priest is actually going to die to it, but likely just because he doesn't get like healing or something like that. I'm not really sure how he even dies to it, but yeah, that mechanic and that behavior you're going to see again a lot in the next like few minutes of this footage. Whenever people act like this and then do stuff like this always tickles me. Look, he is now accidentally aggroing a rot hexer, mounts up and is like trying to avoid avoid pulling this, obviously, and then like a body pulls one mob. Here are more shenanigans famous from the video that he made, where this guy is just gonna walk on top of him with the green circle as it expires to spread it, and then just like basically not heal him for the rest of the dungeon at this point. Here it is, he's gonna grip again. He has the circle mechanic, and he's just gonna grip him on top of him so it spreads. And this is 23 into the dungeon, and we are gonna get our first actual comment on this. And all that was asked is why, and this is the response that we get from the Death Knight. He says, "Shaman, are you handicapped, bro?" Well, actually, he spells it HANDICAPOPED. Handicapped, bro. Are you handicapped? He actually answers, "Actually, I am." I'm not gonna go ahead into all that. That's up to him to tell you. He'll talk about this on his channel, but you really should make you feel like an absolute piece of garbage to say that to somebody and then them respond that way. Like, actually, I am. Like, wow, you must really feel like trash, right? Nope, not these guys. Instead, they're gonna keep gripping him over and over again into this mechanic. Watch, he's even got this thing tanked in like the dumbest spot. Like, I have no idea why you would do this. The thing grows outward anyway. So he's gonna get gripped. He's gonna lose that DPS and all that. And again, totally inconsequential to the fight. As you can see, his health is just like hovering low. He's getting absolutely no healing, and they're basically trying to kill him. So he's gonna go ahead and die here, and then he's immediately gonna get a battle res. Now this is where things take a bit of a turn here. Instead of continuing to play, he is going to start trying to report them. It's kind of like over and over again as well. I'm not exactly sure what he's looking to do there. It's a tough decision to make, and I don't know what I would do if I was in this position, so I can't really comment, especially if I felt personally attacked, like more than just because of my actions in the game. Instead of just, resing and finishing the key and then getting into it, basically not taking the res, and he's causing a big problem on this fight. He likely is going to take a res into just getting killed more times. Like, I don't know how chaotic these guys truly are. And then while that's happening, they're continuing to do the fight. The fight is like almost dead at this point. They do fail to kill a couple totems because he is staying dead, and that's probably ruffling their feathers even further. But again, it has absolutely no bearing on their ability to upgrade this key whatsoever. At this point, the Death Knight says, "We can leave if you want," out of totally nowhere. Like, nothing was even said. So he replies, "Why res when you're just gripping me into mechanics?" He says, "Take res or I'll leave." Now, this is when it gets really, really out of control, and this is when I knew I needed to make a video on this. So the Shadow Priest, who from what I can tell is not in on this in any way. He doesn't understand what's going on, and he is now freaking out that, unfortunately, we have chosen to just basically not continue on the fight because of these guys griefing him and, attacking him, and that is actually going to cause a wipe. And again, don't forget, this is the key holder. This is this guy's key. He says, "Dude, you can revive. You get 4 reports and get a 1-week break." I wish it worked that way. If it did, these guys wouldn't still be playing the game. But, I could totally see his frustration with it. He said, "Dude, just take the revive." And honestly, if he did, we would have killed the boss and we would have been done. And it was that like a double upgrade we would have had there. So, but it gets way worse. The tank then says, "Is he gonna res? I'm not boosting people for free." And hold on, we gotta pause right there. Reminder that this is what this guy's Raider IO sheet looks like. 3100 player. I mean, I don't know when this was recorded, but I don't think he needed this 9, right? Wake up call, bro. You signed up to a 9. You didn't need the key. You are boosting people for free, whether you realize it or not. Then it gets really weird because the priest is now like thinking the key is over and that they're about to disband. They do not disband over this. This is actually insane that we're talking about all of this, and it is a completed and not even it's an upgraded keystone. Okay, so the guy says, "Why ruin my key?" The priest healer, who has been literally trolling everybody in this group the entire run, says it's not ruined. They're not on the same page. So the tank says, "But we can't kill the totem without him, sorry," which is apparently like justification for why he tried to reset it there. If you didn't actually see that, let's go back to that real quick. So this guy says he's casting his Hearthstone, which you can't do because you're being meleeed. So he's going to try to drag the boss out, but either doesn't realize that the poison's going to kill him or just gave up on the whole Hearthstone idea. They actually almost killed the boss with him dead. And honestly, I think if he took the Ankh here, and he could have probably finished this boss. He could have like threw down Rock Alley or something like that. They might have been able to finish this boss. This is a couple globals away from being a kill. Anyway, so the tank's justification for doing that, making a total fool out of himself, now trying to justify it, says, "Can't kill the totem without him." They did have multiple totems go off. It caused absolutely no problems whatsoever. They literally could have finished the fight fight with like 2 or 3 more globals. The Shadow Priest is now mad about this because now he's hearing this nonsense justification. He says, can you at least play it till the end? Like, yeah, what a ridiculous statement this tank is trying to make. He says, we killed the totem. And then the Evoker, this is like his first comment all dungeon. He says, Death Knight just tanked to the end. Like, they're starting to get on his case now because I think it's pretty obvious that this dude is not taking this key serious. The Shadow Priest then says, play the key now, because like I think they realize that they can still upgrade this with 6 minutes left. And then the super mature answer from the Death Knight, he says, don't tell me what to do because I will just rebel. And then the healer who's doing it is like just ignoring the fact that he's doing it and saying he's AFKing, then pulling trash the whole dungeon and killing me. I mean, I assume they're looking at the overall chart. If you see it, it's to the right of my camera here. It's not good. He is losing to a tank on overall damage. You know, it's a bit unfortunate that he's doing so little damage. It does probably look like he's not giving his best effort, but I do not think that this response by them is commensurate to this. And in his defense, he said, what did I pull? And then the tank says the War Scourge, the 2 Gut Stabbers, then didn't die to it. Like, do we have to go back to this? I had to check. Like, he's talking about these enemies right here. The 2 Gut Stabbers who kill the priest. I don't know if this is like genuinely just like deep in the trolling or whatever at this point, or if he's just like, he thinks because, you know, he said it in the video that, you know, since he was the first person to talk, they probably are trying to like pass it off on him, even though like everybody knows it was the priest. I don't really know about that, but this guy's still talking about this nonsense. So like, he says, then didn't die to it and type Y when I ask you to die, which doesn't actually happen, by the way. He thinks that when he says why, like 20 minutes later, he's responding to the die mass res, because that was the last comment that got made, maybe. I'm not really sure if this is like a genuine comment at this point. It's really hard to take anything that these guys say or do serious, but he says you typed why when I asked you to die, and like, even if he did, it's a very good question to ask. Pull 3 mobs on a tyrannical 9 and then ask people to die to them? Like, bro, this holy priest is maybe making everybody look like it's easy to die, but like trying to die to those 3 mobs without pulling even more stuff, like, what are you talking about? You're gonna waste more time just trying to die. And so meanwhile, the Shadow Priest is just like begging to get this key done. And again, now they have less than 5 minutes left at this point. The healer who's gripping people into mistakes is saying, I need a res, I'm bugged. The tank says 5% overall buff and losing to blood decay. I have no idea what he's referring to with that. Did Enhance get like buffed or something like that this week? I don't even know. I don't follow that. But then the priest, who's literally just been trolling people the entire run, he's like, oh, great point. Yeah, you're doing bad damage. That's ruining someone's key right there. But that's it. He has some like funny moments here where they keep trying to stand on top of him with mechanics, and he's like dodging them with Ghost Wolf. AC gets pulled in again there. And ultimately, they are going to actually kill this fight, even after like an intentional throw. Like, people say this all the time, that people are inting. Like, no, this is like literally intentionally wiping. Yeah, we see it does die at 4%. So they were basically like a couple auto attacks away from killing it in the previous pull. And these guys just decided, I don't want that. But there's like another lesson to be learned here, man. And I don't know how many times I have to warn you guys about it, but like, when you invite people like this to your low keys, this is the result you're going to get. Like, this guy, this is his mage. This was the priest. This is his alt. This guy's 3,600. This dude's done 19s, right? If you invite a guy who's done 19s to a 9, like, this is the result. So really, to me, moral of the story is just don't invite a duo ever. Like, how many pieces of evidence do we need for this now? But yeah, and definitely don't invite people who are like 1,000 score over the key. Like, I don't know. That's just always going to go poorly. It's funny though, because we've made so many videos like this, like somewhat similar to this, and there's always somebody out there who tries to defend it, who tries to say this or that, but this one's a slam dunk, man. Like, anybody who defends this, you're just a fucking scumbag. Like, there's absolutely no way to defend this. They're on pace to double upgrade an absolute joke mode key. It's not even these guys' key, and they're actually just making it harder for the group. Like, it's almost like they signed up just to do that. That's my point. Like, I don't know how deep this goes, man. I'm so glad that he got this on footage here, because these guys probably do this all the time. Nobody's able to stop it. Nobody's able to act on it. And this is my final plea to Blizzard, man. Like, this is ridiculous that this is allowed. There's a social contract now. You're supposed to be taking your interactions with other people serious. Meanwhile, you have people like this literally just running all over other people's progression and doing it on video too. Like, I mean, we can literally submit this to Blizzard. What more evidence do you need, man? These guys are bad actors and they should be punished. And so should everybody who treats each other like this. In the pug world, there is just no place for this. And this simple simply goes beyond pugging though. So I was really glad to be able to expose this. But otherwise, please, please, please leave your thoughts on this, man. I want to have a serious discussion about this kind of stuff. This is actually the worst. Like, I don't think there's going to be anything that can top this, and there's certainly nothing that came before that's even close. Two guys who seemingly are entering keys just to troll other people and then try to manipulate the group into thinking it's not them. That is some scary shit, man. That's really, really scary to me. So thank you for watching. We will be back with streaming this week. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the next video.